Hi there, me again, and it's engineering, graphics and design. It's basic constructions. Today I want to show you how to do the 5 polygons that we would normally use from standard 6 right up to standard 10. If you, I'm old school, so it's actually grade 8 to grade 12. Now the first one is how to construct an equilateral triangle. Now I've put 60 degrees there so that you can see that the internal angles will be 60 degrees. And what I do is I go to my line, the baseline, in other words, whatever line they give you, and I say there, the examiner, set it to the length of the line, scribe an arc at the top. I'm going to make it a bit darker. Yours will obviously be much lighter when you do the drawing, because construction lines are light. Use the same radius from the other end and make sure that they intersect and cross each other. Now, once I've done that, I use my ruler or set square and I line up the end point with that point there, and I do the same on this side. Just remove my ruler, give me a bit more space from here to there. And that gives me my equilateral triangle. Now, if they say label your drawing, then I would go and label it A, B, and C. Now the internal angle over here, there and there, is 60 degrees. Right, that's the equilateral triangle. The next one I'm going to show you is to construct a square. How to construct a square. Remember, all these drawings are constructions. If they say draw, then you can use your set square. But if they say construct, then you've got to do the construction method to show that you know the construction method. In this case here, I'm going to go to the end. My base side of the square is given to me. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use that point as if it is at the end of the line. Now, if you recall, we've done a construction called a recto perpendicular from a point at the, or more or less at the end of the line. In this case, it will be right at the end. So I'm going to select the radius. You can make it a bit smaller if you want to, obviously according to your space. I'm going to then draw that circle or scribe that circle to cut that line in one place. And I'm going to draw quite a big circle, because I'll show you just now why. From where it cuts the line, I use the same radius. So again, it's equilateral triangle. If I join that to there, that to there, and from here to there will also be an equilateral triangle, but upside down. I use the same radius because I've got the space, and I mark off an arc at the top as well from both those 2 points. Once I've got that, what have I done? I have erected a perpendicular on one end. Now, perpendicular, as you know, is a line that forms a 90-degree angle with another line. And the baseline in this case was given to me, and I have created a point from where I'm going to draw a line, and that will be a construction line. Mine is a little bit dark to make it more visible on the screen. And what have I done? I've made a 90-degree angle. But now if I step off the baseline, and what you have to do is be careful not to just go and use the same radius that you used for scribing this arc. What you have to do is you have to set it to the base length. In other words, if that base length is 60 millimeters, you got to set it to 60. Mark that off on that line. Then put your compass. Now I'm marking off the base lines for my square, and remember my square has got 4 sides, so I mark off an arc over there, and from this end. Now you can see that the distance from here to there, and from there to there, and from there to there, and from there to there are all the same. So it is a square, and this makes it square because I've erected a 90-degree angle. Remember that little symbol that we can put in there? That shows that that angle is 90 degrees. I line up these 2 points with each other, and I can darken it as much as I want because that will give me this point here, and this point here, and there's my square. So that's covered that one. Right, the next one is a little bit on a tricky side, but if you just keep your wits together, you will be able to master this one as well. It's really not that difficult. There are, remember, in most of these cases, there are different ways of constructing these polygons, and I'm using for me, it is the easiest way to do it the way I'm doing it. But obviously, you can get different methods. Different teachers teaches you maybe another method. And but if you find that this one is easier, then why not use this? Right. Now I've said there 5 sides. How do I get the angle? Remember, in total, it's only the equilateral triangle that has got 180 degrees as the internal when you add up all the internal angles. But all the other polygons will give you 360. So divide the amount of sides into 360, and that will give you the angle that you would use if you were to draw it. But we are going to construct it. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Okay, I've moved it away from construct a pentagon, 5 sides, 72 degrees. That's just to remind you of what we are actually doing. Now, in this, what you have to do is you go and set, and all the other polygons after this one, I'm doing the hexagon and then also the octagon. That gives me the 5 polygons that we normally work with. I'm going to use, or I'm going to try, if I don't forget, to use the same baseline, the same length, to show you that you can use the same radius using the baseline as a radius to do all these drawings. In the previous one where we constructed the square, you could have used the base length to get that perpendicular as well, and then from there you would have done the same procedure as what we did on that one. So here we set it to the base length. Just make sure it's accurate. And then what I do is I scribe a big circle, well, the radius according to that length of the base side. Remember, that will be prescribed or given to you, and you have to, sorry, there it went off. It's thinking of something else and not concentrating. Remember, you've got to concentrate on where the actual sharp point of the compass is. Make sure that you push it in, not to make a big hole there, but to just make sure that it is secure and it will not slip. So I draw another circle, and that should go through the other end. If not, then obviously you have put the compass on the wrong place. Now, where they intersect at the bottom, and I just need to move the camera a little bit closer so that you can see. Or let's put it there and extend this. There we are. As you can see, there's a point at the bottom, where they intersect, these two circles, and at the top. But I just want to make it a little bit darker at the bottom so you can see the point a little bit more clear. Right, there we go. And what I do now, that actually gives me a bisector, doesn't it? That's how you could have bisected the line, by using the same length of the line and scribe an arc to go through each point. I've drawn quite a long line because I'm going to need to get the top point of my pentagon. The next step will be to, where the two big circles cross at the bottom, I still use the same radius. I'm not changing the radius at all. So I'm going to use the same radius and scribe a half a circle until it cuts the big circle on the left and on the right. So it cuts both the big circles on the left and on the right. Now, the important part about this construction is to remember that that point there is your important point. And the reason for that is I'm now going to take a line from this point here where the small arc or the half circle cuts the big arc, but I've got to take it through that point there. And I draw a construction line to cut the big circle over there. And I do the same on this side. Line it up, and I'm going to just make two little darker lines there and there so you can see where it ends. I can now join that point to that point, and that gives me my second side of my pentagon. I can do the same on this side. And all I need to do now is to determine the top point of the pentagon. And remember, I still have to use the same length from this point now to mark it off on my bisector, and just to check out whether I'm accurate or not. And in my case here, it doesn't look as though I'm that accurate, but there's my mark. And what I need to do now is to join this point through to that point there, and that will give me the upper part of my pentagon. Now, just before I sign off, just remember that if you don't go through this point, sometimes you forget to go through that point, you go through this point. That means that these lines are going to be lower. Your angle is going to cut lower down because it's going to come down there. So when you step off this part here, this part is going to drop, and you should be able to see it immediately. And if you see that it is not, or you can even take your board and swing it around and see whether it looks the same from the other side. Okay, that is the pentagon. The next lesson we'll go onto the hexagon and then onto the octagon, and that will cover quite a bit of it will cover the 5 polygons that you will use for grade 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, because these type of polygons are useful to construct, and it is used in designing certain objects. Thank you very much.